From 1965 to 1974, during a 9-year military operation, over 280,000 military personnel and over 400,000 civilians had died. This stems from key miscommunication in tactics and failed missions. Hello, my name is Carpenter, and today I will inform you about how miscommunication and misunderstanding between U.S. leaders, soldiers, and the public contributes to one of the most controversial conflicts in American history. As one of the most studied wars in U.S. history, the lessons from Vietnam continue to shape military strategies and diplomatic communication today. Along with the abundance of studies, I've been personally studying the Vietnam War since high school. First, I will discuss the miscommunication between political and military leaders. Then I will explore the failures in communication between commanders and soldiers. Finally, I will analyze how misinformation impacted the American public perception of the war. Let's begin by examining how poor communication between political and military leaders created total chaos. Political leaders often micromanage military operations without consulting any generals on the ground. By example, President Lyndon B. Johnson and Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara imposed bombing restrictions that hindered military effectiveness. As Andrew wrote in 2013, the limitations on bombing campaigns reflected a lack of trust in military leaders and undermined their ability to fight strategically. This lack of clarity in war objectives had led to confusion among commanders involved in the war. Hassan notes in 2021, the fixation on body counts as a measure of success created a distorted view of the war's reality. Then seen during the conflict, generals overstated their progress to secure continued support. Reports on body counts were inflated to present an illusion of success. Hassan notes, military officials often manipulated metrics to maintain political backing, creating a false narrative of progress. This credibility gap emerged as the media revealed a much different reality. As Susan explained in 2018, the erosion of public trust stemmed from conflicting reports from military leaders and independent media coverage. Unfortunately, miscommunication wasn't just confined to leaders. It also affected soldiers on the ground. Soldiers were often given vague or unrealistic objectives by their leaders and the leaders above them. Guerrilla warfare, tactics used by the Viet Cong, were greatly misunderstood by U.S. forces and U.S. intelligence. Angela wrote, "The American military, structured for conventional warfare, struggled against the Viet Cong's asymmetric tactics. According to Hassan, the inability to adapt to unconventional tactics further exaggerated operational failures. These failures and inconsistent orders led to unnecessary casualties and very low morale." Susan describes how frequent changes in command objectives confused troops and diminished morale. With a lack of cultural understanding, this further complicated operations. Many soldiers were not trained to navigate the complex political landscape of South Vietnam. Angela observed in her study the failure to grasp local social political dynamics alienated South Vietnamese civilians. Hassan emphasized that poor cultural training resulted in further isolation from potential allies within Vietnam. This ignorance led to alienation from local populations. As Susan wrote, hearts and minds were irreversibly lost due to the military's cultural insensitivity. The miscommunication extended even further, though, affecting the American public's perception of the war. Government officials often failed to provide any honest updates about the war. The Tet Offense, which occurred in 1968, shattered the public's belief that the victory was near. The offensive demonstrated the stark reality of the conflict, contradicting optimistic official statements, as noted by Hassan. Media coverage exposed the much more brutal and futility of the war that was not seen. Susan covered that television broadcasts vividly depicted the war's human toll, intensifying public oppression. The credibility gap led to widespread anti-war protests. Trust in the government deteriorated. Angela wrote, "The widening trust gap between citizens and officials fueled much civil unrest. Soldiers often returned home were met with hostility rather than support. As Hassan observed, returning veterans faced social rejection and became symbols of a war gone wrong." By understanding how the impact of miscommunication in the Vietnam War, we can better appreciate the importance of clear and honest communication in both military operations and public policy. In modern times, the military has implemented various communication strategies to improve coordination across all levels of leadership, utilizing clear objectives, real-time battlefield intelligence, and transparent communication with the public, ensuring better operational success and trust between leadership and troops. If history has taught us anything, it's that communication is the backbone of any successful operation. The Vietnam War led to disastrous consequences. However, mistakes can be fixed and learned. In conclusion, miscommunication was a failure of the Vietnam War between political and military leaders, commanders and soldiers, and with the American public. Thank you.